So we're going to talk about Kriegsspiel 7 Years War, a game that is in development. I think that this game has a lot of potential, and I have prepared this video to explain all of you what is Kriegsspiel 7 Years War. We're going to talk about the elements of the game, especially, and what are the interesting things that are going to be implemented in this beautiful war game that we have at our disposal to test. So let's begin with the units. So units in Kriegsspiel have two visual representations. They are figurines, as we can see them here, and also 3D model individuals. I'm going to zoom in so we can see them over here. Here is a good example of what I'm talking about. We have also eventually fog of war. You can click over here and you're going to see a fog of war in gray, and you're going to see what the units can see. Fog of war is presented with the courier and report mechanics, in which reports are going to be sent to the general to communicate about enemy locations. What this means is that this unit here, that is represented with the star being the general, has to send a report so the units can move, and then the units will send a report based on what they can see. So in this case, I'm going to select the regiment of hussars, and I'm going to send them in a normal walk over here. We're going to see how the units move. They're going to reach the destination, and a report is going to be sent when they see something. So they are going to spot in here. At this point, we don't know what is hidden in this area. As soon as this report comes into the general, we're going to know what is the enemy locations, as we're going to see in a few seconds right now. Here you can see, I just paused so we can see it. All of these enemy regiments located in here are specially being spotted by the hussars, and now I being us the general, we know the locations based on the reports. So let's talk about the couriers. Here we have a courier. If I click, you can see it's a report. Couriers is part of the command mechanics and is tied to the movement of the units. It is a unique mechanic that represents a realistic simulation about how troop movement happened in the period when radios were not around. And this is representing also the delay in communications, so the delay in orders and the lack of understanding from the general point of view, which is this guy here, on what was really happening in the battlefield was a crucial part of whole armies from the time period in question, which is here the 7 Years' War. Maps were already invented in this time period, and generals had a theoretical understanding of the terrain, but not of enemy locations, as we see simulated in here. Also, logistics are present in the shape of carts, which are basically the baggage train. I'm going to turn on the supply lines, and we're going to see two types of lines. Moving from the encampment to the troops on the march, or troops that are basically waiting for any other orders. In game, all of these elements are visually represented by dotted lines, as I discussed in a few seconds, connected to the units and the encampment as well, which is here, and tied to the effectiveness of the unit to fight other enemies on the map. A particular interesting thing of the report mechanic is that given that they take time to travel on the map, they can be intercepted by enemy units and negate the report to be received, which is something that is unique in this case. All of these is inspired on the original Kriegsspiel system, in which there is the existence of an umpire, and the umpire chooses to reveal you bits about the battlefield according to your surroundings and army's positioning on the terrain. The original Kriegsspiel, meaning the Kriegsspiel that was invented in Prussia by the time of the 7 Years' War. The war game, this war game over here, is being developed by a single person that perhaps you'll meet in one of the comments down here. He is uploading right now a demo. There's an alpha build on the Steam page for anyone willing to give him feedback on what to improve or reporting bugs so he can create the ultimate 7 Years' War simulation. Welcome to this video in which I will play the Dresden map here. It is not exactly a campaign, it's a map, and it has a time restriction to get the victory. We're going to see that first we have to locate the enemies here, but it has a time constraint in which we have to take the city in a determined time. Now, if you like wargames and historical stuff, fantasy or sci-fi, subscribe to the channel. The best way to support me is watching and sharing the content, so I can continue informing about nice titles and getting fantastic guides for all the wargames that we all like and love. This channel is made with love and passion for this amazing genre, and you are the deal here. You, the community, is what drives me to give you more videos for you to enjoy. There is a lot to learn with wargaming, and I'm interested in your opinions, your perspective, so we can share our passion in a wonderful community that we are creating here. Thank you for your time. Let's have a look at Kriegsspiel 7 Years' War in action here in Victor's Wargaming. Because of the time constraint, I will have to take Brunn first, and then we're going to be able to advance in here through the woods, especially because in here we're going to have a surprise coming in here as reinforcements. So let's move the general here and continue with the scouts over here. And I'm going to take all of these troops, the infantry, over here. As you can see, it takes time for these troops to move. The cavalry is going to move faster eventually. I'm going to send now an order to the cavalry to move over here. I'm going to take all of these guys and move them here. We are right now at 1124. We have to defeat these guys over here. So the first thing that we can do is to send these guys in a normal walk in here and continuing in an aggressive walk over here. We're going to take all of these troops and move them into this position. So we're going to wait for the orders to be completed. We're crossing the river. Crossing rivers is also something that has penalties, as always, for any war game like this. So it took us something around 1 hour to reach this position. Let me take the Jaegers, and I'm going to click here so I can record the situation. I'm going to do a defensive walk for the Jaegers here. And then I'm going to take the regiments, record the order that we're going to attack them in an aggressive walk over here. Another order is going to be to take this part with a defensive walk, and we take the general, and apparently we have to hit this button, so the orders are going to be received. There we go. Okay, there's a battle here. Let us send the orders to the cavalry. Cavalry is about to take Brunn. There we go. We can see that there is a supply coming from the city, but it doesn't matter because we just defeated these guys. Our supplies are still coming from here. And now we have here some cannons. This is pretty much a artillery battalion. So we're going to take both of them and send them here. With a normal run, send the order. We have up until 8 to take everything here. We're going to wait for these troops to reach in here. They are coming. And when these guys are finally here, we're going to be able to move all of these troops further in this position. Let's take our general, send him in a normal walk in here, take both of these guys, send them here. We still have time, so we can negate the supplies that these guys are taking from here, but also we can send troops here to stop the supplies. We are grabbing the supplies as well, and reports are also possible to be taken. Good. Gonna send these guys here in a normal walk. All of these troops are going to advance over here in an aggressive walk, and there we go. Send the orders. Hussars are moving up into the woods. Troops are moving in here. We have still time. Let us take this and bring them here in a defensive walk and bring the general over here. Now, the time constraint in here is a little bit sad because I wish we can have a little bit more of time. We can stop the supplies in here. That could be a possible situation. But what we're going to do here is to bring the Hussars and stop the supplies from here. I'm going to do an capture walk over here. And I'm going to bring all of these troops, especially the cannons. The cannons are moving up in here. So I'm going to send them here in a defensive walk. Let's see. We're sending the Hussars to intercept all of the... There you go. You can see that the Hussars are now intercepting here. They're kind of winning. So perhaps we can... This unit of cannons are now shooting at the enemy, I believe. Is it possible?
There
we go. So we're shooting. We're still at 5. Now, these guys should be moved in here, so the general is going to stay here eventually. I can move it slightly here in a normal walk and bring the Jaegers over here in an aggressive walk and take all of these guys in a sort of normal run and taking here a defensive walk in this side. Let's see what is going to happen. We're positioning our general here. We have lost contact from these guys here. Okay. We lost contact from these units. They are apparently they are trying to capture all of the supply that is coming from here. I wish I can send these guys over here. So I'm going to bring them back in a defensive walk. And let's take the Jaegers. Jaegers are now fighting over here. I'm going to do a defensive walk and taking all of these guys over here. Defensive walk in here. There they go. Still have time. Orders have been sent. We have a little bit of a fight in here, in which we see Hussars fighting the Jaegers. Good thing is that the cannons are now being shot, as you can see. In the meantime, the troops are taking positions. It is going to be difficult to defeat this defensive position in this city, but as you can see, we have routed this unit and they routed our unit in here. You can also do this and they are going to regain their morale. This button here is only used once every 6 hours. So now that the troops are reaching here, we're going to take this battalion here in an aggressive run. And this other battalion is going to be sent in a defensive walk over here. Let's bring these guys here. They are walking over here. We have lost again contact with the Hussars here. We haven't been able to send the report, so they are not coming back. Our cannons are still shooting here, as you can see. And now we're getting ourselves into position. We can see over here, path and a village. And these guys are going to be positioned in here. The Jaegers are very good skirmishers. So we're going to wait for the position of the other troops. You can see that I have still the general in this area, so he's sending orders all over the way. If it's possible, the last report says that we have 376 guys here. So if it's possible, I will send them to capture over here. There it goes, the report. They haven't sent us any reports as of yet. And here we see how the troops are now behaving by positioning themselves and starting to attack the enemy here. We advance with the Jaegers over here in a defensive walk. The cannons still shooting. There they come. These are the Hussars. Let's do a defensive walking here. Again, sending troops here. So we're going to send this to capture run. There's going to be a battle in here, of course. And waiting for the Hussars to receive the order. So we're going to send these guys here in a defensive walk. These cannons are still shooting. Pretty interesting. So let's see if we're going to be able to achieve victory at 8. I don't think so, but this is how it works. I cannot press this button because it's only every 6 hours. Cannon still shooting here. These guys will regain morale. Look at this. This one is defeated. Here comes the battle. They also are going to charge against other troops. But they are very, very well positioned in this place. Sadly, we are now routing. Still, I would like to position these guys here in a defensive walk. I wish I can regain a little bit of the morale in here, but that's what is happening now. Let's see what happens next with the Hussars. These guys are going to be attacked here in the middle of the woods. We cannot do anything about it. Here comes the report on the Hussars. We can still try to attack the commander here. It's going to be a move here. There we go. And that's it. You have not been able to take Wilsdorf in due time. So this is basically what this is, as you can see. So again, if you like this, if you find this interesting, you can download the alpha build on Steam, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and you can participate in the feedback for the developer. This was Victus. See you in the next one.